Hey, what's up, Close One community? Gonna highlight today how I use my account planning doc to sift through and really operationalize my cadence for how I go about prospecting my entire book of business. So the first thing I have pulled up here, and I think this is really a prerequisite, but make sure when you get say 300 or 1,000 or however many accounts assigned, go through and tier all of those accounts. For me, I try to have only about like 5% in tier one, 15 to 20% in tier two, and then the rest in tier three. So tier one are my absolute best accounts. Tier two are the ones I absolutely want to target, but maybe they're not as high a priority because they're smaller size of prize in terms of what the deal would be, or maybe they're not as quite ICP fit in terms of ideal customer profile, meaning I'm not quite sure if they're a great fit for our solution. And then tier three is going to be 80% of my accounts in short, where maybe it'd be a really small opportunity, maybe it just doesn't look like it would be a good fit. And I'm taking solace knowing if I put an account in tier three, I might never see it again unless they come inbound or unless they show some sort of intent. So now that I have all of my accounts tiered out, we can see the Cubs that I have tier one, these other accounts as well. This is just a dummy example here. But what I'm going to do on a weekly cadence is every single day, it's going to be my goal to sequence 2 different accounts and target 4 different people at those given accounts. So 2 accounts per day, 4 people per account. You're going to start to target about 8 people every single day. And that's a manageable amount so that, really my approach overall is like do a little bit every day. So you never have to do a lot. You never have to do a 9-hour prospecting day as an account executive, but commit to doing that 2x4 every single day. So in my example here, maybe today I want to target UJet and I want to target the Chicago Cubs. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to Sales Navigator and I'm just going to go to UJet as an account. I'll search for them in the top. Typically, I'm going to look at a couple different things. One, I'm going to pop open their website, get a quick sense. Hey, what does UJet do? Oh yeah, they do CX through AI powered automation, intelligence, omnichannel orchestration. Amazing. They look like a good fit. Yes, they do for what we do. I'm then going to go back to Sales Navigator. I like to quickly actually pulse at these insights down here. This gives me some sort of just like, are they struggling as a company? Are they scaling? Are they growing really quickly? You can also see different things like job openings or new hires. Then I'm going to go into the specific employees. And the reason for that is I want to start to identify, hey, who are those 4 or so people that I want to ultimately target? Now, since there's 308 different employees at this company, I want to put some filters on. I'll move my big head over to the right. So what I'm going to do here, excuse my misclick there, beautiful, is pop open this view. So I have this entire kind of landscape here. In my world, I'm looking at more like sales related roles. And I'm also going to look at higher level folks like a CXO, a VP, a director. So in short, I'm looking for people that I would want to target that have the authority that if I did land that meeting, that they're the right persona ultimately. So Lewis looks like a pretty good example as a VP of sales. Keith would be another person that I would want to target. National channel director, perhaps. And then Jeff could be potential fits as well. So kind of as I go through this, I'm going to pop open Keith. I'm going to pop open Lewis. You can see that they come up here in this top tab. I'm also going to write them out. So I'm going to pop open to my account planning doc. By the end of the year, this will be completely full. But for now, I'm just going through one by one. I'm writing down the name. I'm writing down like, hey, Keith Dennis would be my first target. Lewis would be my second target. And I'll sometimes put in the role as well here. Beautiful. So I'll come back here. I'll do a couple of other searches. My goal is to get like 4 or 5 different people up there. So I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to also look at things like, do we have any past customers? So I would toggle this on. I would also look at, is there anyone that follows our company? That could show that they're a little bit higher intent or, they're familiar at least with what we do at a high level. So I see Baker Johnson, CMO is not exactly who we target, but that could be a good person to reach out to. I'll pop open Baker. I could target Holly. I'll pop her open for now as well. Great, got a couple more people. And then I'm also going to search, like in our world, like operations is sometimes really good. So I'm going to search like revenue operations would be a pretty good persona that we'd want to target as well. Of course, you could filter for this, but because it's a specific title, I'm just going to search for it. It looks like Laura would be a great candidate as Senior Director of Enablement and Revenue Operations. Great. So I've got my people. I'm going to eliminate Holly from this, and I'm going to target Baker and Laura as well. So I'm going to fill that out. Laura, Baker, boom. Awesome. So from here, what I'm doing is as I look through UJet, I have marked in sequence, meaning like in short, I'm targeting this account, but I should actually rename this just in terms of like actively targeting, because what I want to do when I go through Keith, Lewis, Baker, and Laura is actively think of a way, hey, how could I not just enroll this individual into a 15-step, 28-day sequence? How could I take an even better approach? So when I look through each of these individual contacts, actually the first thing that I'm always looking for, number 1, is mutual connections. Number 2, I'm looking for previous users. If they might have used our technology in the past, they're gonna be a lot more familiar. Then I'm going to look for like any really unique details, like do they have a side business? Have they authored a book? Like something I can latch onto. And then 4th, I'll also look for an opportunity to potentially send like a gift to them if I can think of some like really hyper personalized detail for someone that's, a SVP of sales at one of my tier 1s. So we'll kind of go through that one by one. So I'm going through Keith. The first thing I'm going to look for is my mutual connections. I have a lot with him in this case. I'm going to parse through these, say, hey, is there anyone I'm close with? And maybe I could reach out to them and see, how do they know them? Broker and intro. Looks like no team links. Team links would be featured here, meaning somebody at my organization is connected with them. I see down here he's been there at 8 months. Doesn't look like any previous companies that use Gong. I could always pop this open. I see some other stuff here like youth basketball coach. That's pretty interesting. Youth soccer coach. So I could do something there in terms of gifting. I'm kind of taking mental notes. With Lewis as an example, I'm going to scroll down here. And look for the same stuff, right? Do we have shared connections, shared education, things like that? Again, no team links. He's been there 3.5 years, came from Ring Central, great. And then any other details down here as well. Anything I can kind of latch onto. We'll keep going one by one. So I'm going to go over to Baker, who's CMO, takes pride in being a husband, a father, wonderful. Going to look through some of this, great. And now finally, I actually do have a team link. So I see that there's 3 different people connected with Baker, Amit, Iran, and Jake. What I'm actually going to do from here, given that that's number one thing I look for, I'm going to put Amit, Iran, and Jake in a quick Slack channel internally and just link Baker Johnson's profile and be like, hey, does anyone know Baker? Right? I'm going to post this link in there. Does anyone know Baker? I saw all 3 of you are connected. If you do, would love to draft up a note and get introduced as one of the top accounts I'm targeting. So that's going to be my approach for Baker. And then for Laura, I'm going to go through her last. Shared education. What could this be? Yeah, somebody I know went to school with her. I might reach out to that individual. She's been at UJET for quite some time. I went to San Francisco State University. Awesome. So what I'm going to now come back to is basically seeing these 4 different people. I'm going to come up with a plan of attack. For Baker, I'm going to try that team link connection where I'm going to reach out to those 3 people internally. So I'm not just going to enroll him into a sequence. For Lewis in particular, I don't have anything great here. So I'll probably just put him into like a really highly personalized sequence where I can put in some like good information. I could try to latch onto this more, like him being co-founder and president, but I saw he gave up on that a couple of years ago, so I might just kind of ignore. And then with Keith, given it's my number one person I'm trying to target, I'm going to think of some idea for like a gift that I can send over to Keith. So I'm going to go back to Keith here. And I think this is a good mix, right? I have 4 people. I'm going to put 2 into sequences. I'm going to try mutual connections with one, and I'm going to try a gift with another. It looks like he's a huge John Wooden fan. Cool. And it looks like he has some other good quotes here as well. As long as you try your best, you're never a failure. Where my head goes with this is like I could buy him a book from John Wooden. I could go to Amazon, type in John Wooden. I could also put a quote like this on something he likes, like from Etsy, and send it over to UJET's office or try to find his address as well. So I think this is a great quote. As long as you try your best, you're never a failure. I'm now going to go all the way down. See, he went to UC San Diego. He's a big basketball fan as well. I'm just going to go over to Etsy. I'm going to type in like custom basketball gift or something. Awesome. Awesome. And again, I'm looking for some like cheap type gift that I could put that quote on to something, given he's a big basketball fan. He does that volunteering wise as well. So as one example, I could put it on this and I could put some word art around it. It would cost me $16 and I could put a couple of John Wooden quotes. I could put it on a little like basketball jewelry dish and put that quote there as well. I'm gonna type in John Wooden as well. Beautiful. Or I could get him something as simple as this. Right? This would cost me $9.99. It's a John Wooden quote. It would go in his office. I could ship this over to Keith. I've got a pretty good plan. So Keith, gift, Lewis, sequence, Laura, sequence, Baker, team link. And I'm going to put in my plan of attack here. Send gift to Keith, John Wooden fan, Baker connected with 3 people at Prong, warm intro, sequence, other 2. So all in all, it takes me maybe about 5 to 10 minutes to put in some of that different research. And then from there, I'm just going to execute from there. So I'm going to send off that gift, take me a couple minutes. I'm going to send that internal Slack. So I'm going to have to come back to this message. It's going to take some time. Then I'm going to go to my sales engagement platform and actually put Laura in a sequence specific to revenue operations and that persona, and put Lewis in one specific to a sales leader. Hopefully this was helpful start to finish, but really by the end of this, it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you stay diligent and you target 2 accounts per day, you target 4 people at each of those accounts, by the end of Q1, you're going to have gotten through all of your tier 1 accounts. By the end of Q2, all of your tier 2 accounts. And then you're going to have warm leads the rest of the year, people that told you, hey, reach back out in 3 months, people you weren't able to break through on that you'll kind of retarget and reapproach based on new contacts that joined. And it's a really great way to stay organized and stay on task from a prospecting sense to build this into your operating cadence on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis.